I'm Robin Miller, they, them.
And I'm STEVEN Partridge, he, him. And we are the birds in the situation of words, nerds, and birds. We are the nerds of a feather. And Robin, first name Robin, my last name is Partridge. So, yeah, this is our podcast.
You know what? Sometimes being the villain is fun.
They can hate all they want. I love when they hate me. But if there is a fan in the background, that's just what's happening for this episode.
You know, because, like, you die horribly for about maybe a minute at most, and then it's over. And you still got to spend most of the movie having a good time. Yeah, it's not the ocean itself, it's what's in the ocean that can definitely swim better than you can, no matter how good you are at it. Hello, Internet.
Yes.
Salutations, nerds.
Hello, nerds. We are the nerds of a feather. We like nerds. We like words. We are the birds. Because this is Robin. I am STEVEN Partridge.
Yes, and I believe today we are going to be talking about beach episode sessions in tabletop RPGs.
Oh my gosh, I love beach episodes in every context. Like, I have done a number of beach episodes this summer. Have you gone to the beach this summer yet?
I live in Ohio, so I'd have to be, like, quite a long distance away to go to the beach.
Oh, see, I actually live I live right near the Great Lakes. So, like, it's an hour drive to the beach. And I go to the beach and I love it. I love the sand. I love the surf. I like the whole 9 yards. I probably would like the ocean less because there's more scary things there.
Yeah, it's not the ocean itself, it's what's in the ocean that can definitely swim better than you can, no matter how good you are at it.
Right?
But I did want to point out that, like, if you're watching a TV show or something, generally the point of a beach episode is to, like, give the characters some time to breathe after some tense stuff happens. And that doesn't mean that there's no conflict to be had. Like, there can still be conflict, but it's like the breath of air to, like, cool the pacing down after things have been really tense for a while. And so, like, if I were gonna run one in a tabletop, that's probably what I would do with it, is, like, you know, plop that in there right after the characters have just been through the ringer, you know, give them a minute to breathe, and then find something, like, small and kind of funny to amuse them with as far as, like, the conflict of the session goes.
Right? Like, I feel like low stakes, cozy murder mystery or something in that vein is really good for a beach episode.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yes.
Like, a la Murder, She Wrote or something like that. You know, I also have to say that for me, I love beach episodes because I think it's a great way to, like, flesh out your characters.
Yes.
Because you can get your characters who maybe do something unexpected or have some sort of quirk, and you can really, like, explore who these characters are in the context of having fun and not just, oh, our lives are in danger 24/7. We're going to die.
Oh yeah, if you've got a group that is prone to RP, then this is a really good opportunity to give them a chance to just RP together, because usually, like, there's the problem of the week going on and you don't get a whole lot of time to, like, sit down and talk to the other people in your party, and that's honestly a shame in most cases. Like, most of the parties that I have been in have been really heavy on the role play, and I have been blessed enough to have a few DMs that have been like, okay, you guys have time to talk to each other if you want to, but, like, most of them want to get on to the next thing pretty quickly, and if you're at the beach, and that is the whole point, then, like, it gives you plenty of time to talk to each other and, like, get information out there, particularly if you've got, like, a character that's afraid of water.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that is hilarious. You can bring up so many phobias, though. Like, not just water, but, like, sea animals, marine life, crabs. Crabs are basically spiders with claws.
Oh my
and
god.
bigger.
I pinch.
Okay, they aren't necessarily always poison. I don't know if there's any poisonous crabs, actually. I feel
gonna
like
Google
there
that.
is. Yes, Google it. There
That would
has
be
to be.
venomous crabs. If it bites you and you die, it's venomous.
Or if it has spines.
There is no such thing as a venomous crab or lobster, according to NationalGeographic.com.
Hey,
This apparently also applies to prawn or shrimp. There are 70,000 species of crustaceans, and until recently, it seemed that all of them were venom-free. The only exceptions live in coastal caves, which are connected to the ocean by underground tunnels.
your weekly trivia brought to you by Robin R. Miller. That's crazy. Hey, but that means all crustaceans are free game for dinner. So I
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, like even, but this is like probably a fantasy setting. So if you want to have venomous crabs in your setting, you can probably make that happen. But in that case, you would just have to be careful and like cut out the venom sac without toxifying the rest of the fish. Like people do that with blowfish, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I think you have
Or
to
is
have
it
like a
pufferfish?
license.
It's one or the other, but yeah, you have to have a license to cook it.
Yeah, I think it's pufferfish. I'm pretty sure pufferfish.
I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah, but I know you have to have like a special license to prepare this fish, and like it can be deadly if you don't eat it, or if you eat it and you don't prepare it right.
Yes.
So,
Like,
like, yeah.
imagine being like so hype on the idea of eating this particular fish that you're like willing to risk your life to eat it.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of the culinary equivalent of extreme sports to a degree.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And like even if you're in like esports, like people absolutely jack up their hands doing that. Like, but you got to be real into it.
Yeah, for real. But, you know, like, that's the other thing. Like, I don't know why esports don't explore beach episodes and like beach sports more. I mean, like, I feel like it would just turn into like the beach episodes we're all used to from anime, where it's mostly fan service. But at the same time, like, there is some really interesting sports mechanics at play in like water polo, beach volleyball. Do you know there's a game called Flags in Australia where like dudes lay on the ground facing away from this flag and they like flatten out the sand and then they have to like jump up real quick and run and dive for this flag, and you get like out if you don't get close enough to it.
That is absolutely something you could like work into a tabletop game and have the PCs do. And it
Right?
would be really funny, especially if like the barbarian who's always good at everything athletic is just not fast enough to do it.
Right. And I feel like if you had your characters that have like in D&D for example, you can avoid difficult terrain with certain classes or feats or different things.
Oh yeah.
Like sand is difficult terrain. Like let me tell you,
Oh,
going to the
especially if you don't have
beach,
shoes on.
yes, I will never ever ever again argue with any DM that wants to put in any number of hazards related to sand, because first off, it's hard to get your footing. Second off, it kicks up if you're not wearing like footwear that closes it out. And then if it kicks up, you're risking like kicking it up in people's eyes and stuff like that. Like sand could also be weaponized really well.
Huh. You know, I hadn't thought about that, but you're absolutely right. I mean, well, I mean, pocket sand is a meme.
Yeah, but also like magic, right? Like
Yes.
mold earth. Just I want to
Oh.
shoot
Oh.
5 square feet of sand in a person's face.
Mold earth at the beach.
Right.
There, yeah, there could be a whole bunch of like really good encounters just at the beach during the beach episode. I like the sound of that. I like the really chilled games, but like you have to have at least one combat. Like don't have to if your group's not into that, but like usually even the really RP heavy groups that I'm in want at least one combat per session. So it's like good balance there.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say too, I like okay, swimsuits, right? Swimsuits.
Yes.
Basically art on the body, or at least it can be. And you could totally explore like world building relating to like modesty or cultural standards of beauty given different races or ethnicities in your world. Like maybe elves think that it's immodest to show your elbows or something like that. I don't know. I'm just picking out a random thing because, like, you know, swimsuits.
And now I'm just imagining like an elven swimsuit that looks like a normal swimsuit, except then you've got like these two extra bits that are just like tied around the elbows, and everybody's like, oh, that must be a decoration. But then like you see more elves wearing them, and it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's a thing.
Yeah, or like different levels of modesty related to like, maybe elves tend to cover up more. Maybe dwarves are more willing to just, skinny dip or something like that. And
I'm just trying to imagine Circass at the beach right now, and like, if anybody's not aware of this, that's my character in Ingest Quest. Like, she would absolutely be that person just sitting under the umbrella reading a book the whole time and trying not to participate, and then getting dragged along anyway because, like, uh, Christopher,
uh-huh. Yeah, my character is Christopher.
yes, would definitely not let her just sit there and not do anything all day.
Yeah, definitely. I also am just picturing like this swimmer that would allow for 6 arms because she has 6 arms and 2 legs.
Yes.
So it's like how accommodating that, like the idea of creatures with different anatomies, like having to accommodate that for swimwear.
Well, she's a spider, so she'd spin it herself, but
Oh yeah, oh of course she would. But like,
yeah, but like not
someone that
everything is a
wouldn't,
spider.
that didn't have a spider silk to do it with, right? And like I could totally see like characters like really expressing themselves and like players being able to express who their character is from whatever. Like for me personally, I'm a big dude, but it's unexpected when I go to the beach because I'm into speedos. I love speedos. That's my thing. That's my jam. They're super comfortable. I don't know what my work. I don't know why more people don't wear speedos because they're like super comfortable. They are like they dry quick. It's just like so much good about them. Like yes, but like you could have characters that express themselves through unexpected things, right? Because people wouldn't expect to see that. So like maybe you're a barbarian who's normally willing to show a bunch of skin is like covering up because he doesn't want to get sunburned, and so
Oh,
like he's got like a
valid.
cover up, and he's got like the board shorts, and he's got all of it, and he's got like layers of sunscreen and maybe like one of those big floppy hats and sunglasses.
Oh, I love the big floppy hats. Like I that's absolutely part of my aesthetic. No, if I'm at the beach though, I'm probably swimming in a t-shirt, and that's an old habit from when I was on the swim team, and everybody was all like, "You don't have to be that modest. We're at swim practice." But like, no, that was because I wanted the extra drag so that when we went to the swim meet, I could take it off and be faster, and it did actually help a little bit.
Right, right. Like, yes, I was on swim team too, so I feel that. I feel that. Like, it's just practical, and you should wear what makes you feel comfortable. At the end of the day, you should wear what makes you feel comfortable. And, like, the characters showing what makes them feel comfortable can be really interesting and telling about their characters.
That's fair. I'm like trying to think of like what rogues would do at the beach. And my dumb brain is just like sand dollars.
I love that. I was thinking digging for buried treasure, but I like yours better.
It's sillier for sure, but like, oh man, buried treasure is another good thing that you could have in a beach episode.
Oh,
Like,
yes. Give him a metal
just
detector.
like you're here because you found a treasure map. And like maybe they get there and there's nothing in the box. Like somebody got to it a long time ago, but they get some really good bonding in along the way. The players would be really mad about that, actually. Probably don't do that to your party. Uh,
Or, if you want to incorporate exploration elements and danger, like, oh, what was I watching? I think it was Lock and Key on Netflix. And they had this story point where they found these caves that were in, near the ocean, right? And so they went in, but when high tide came, then it was like a race against the clock to get out safely. And there was
oh,
like
that's
this whole
so
story
good.
about how like these kids had gone in there previously and like some of them died and there ended up being like this magic portal down there and stuff, but like you could do anything with that. You could just have like a haunted cove where like people have died because they got caught there at high tide.
That is really cool. Like that's really, really cool. I've been sitting here planning on like writing stuff for a pirate themed sandbox. Like and instead of trying to like shove it no, instead of okay, I see why that's funny. Um,
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. I was thinking though that instead of trying to shove it into a book, I'm just gonna like make a wiki so that you can just like click the adventure and then have the page in front of you and not have to worry about like organizing a book. 'Cause I'm doing this for my friends. This isn't something I'm trying to make money off of, but like
Mm-hmm.
something like that would be really cool. I really like the idea of that, like of having an episode that's like just or a session that's just like along the coast and like beach hauntings. Beach hauntings are so good.
Yes, right? Yeah. Use something like World Anvil and just like let people like be on the wiki during the session so they can like explore around and see what they see. And you could like find picture
Oh,
references and stuff.
World Anvil would be good for that. I'm actually working on it on a wiki dot right now because like it's for the DM,
Mm-hmm.
like instead of like having the campaign book, but like I'll get to more about that later. No, I'm just thinking like cuz you don't often see a lot of western horror set on beaches.
Mm-mm.
Like okay, I fell down a hole of researching this at one point for one of the later Nim books that still hasn't come out because I got stuck on the plot and don't know what I'm doing with the second half of it. But like what I learned in my tunnel of research is that like Western horror tends to be really dry. It's like usually in places like the attic, like this musty old attic or like this haunted house that hasn't been lived in a long time. But Eastern horror is really wet. Like
Mm-hmm.
look at Ringu where like the whole thing is centered around the well or like I don't know. I'm like completely dry on examples right now. I had a bunch of them at one point. I didn't expect to talk about this today. I didn't expect you to bring up hauntings, but like, yes. Long story short, yes, I am like very into the idea of a haunted beach thing. Like that's super cool.
Yeah, or like if you don't want to go haunted, like you could totally go aberration, right? Like
Oh, for
the
sure.
aboleth, for example, just being an aquatic creature, like there are things lurking in the deep and they might not even be from here or
Oh,
things
mind
like
flayers
that.
already look like squids. And like just squids on their own are really creepy looking, but they're so cool.
Mm-hmm. I have wondered for a long time why nobody has ever tried to do like mind flayers from the bottom of the sea because like they're already octopi, they're like halfway there, and like
Somebody has to have tried to.
having like a city under the sea though, like in bubbles or something, like why would that not be a thing? Like that just seems cool to me, and it could be really horror themed if it's like super dark.
Well, they're always like every time I've seen them portrayed, they've either been in the Underdark or they've been in space. So like actual aquatic mind flayers seems totally reasonable to me. And like I am currently in this place where I am slightly salty because like we're playing Rime of the Frost Maiden, and I'm gonna try to like explain this without any spoilers, but there was this moment where I thought I was gonna get a fight of Mind Flayer and we didn't get a fight of Mind Flayer, and I was like not okay with that.
You just like beating stuff up.
Well, not always. Like, I'm fine with not beating stuff up if the adventure that is put in front of me is like, this is not going to be a beat stuff up adventure. But, like, up until this point, we had gotten so many hints, and, like, even a member of our party had been kidnapped by this ship. So, like, I was thinking, okay, there's no way they can turn this around. Like, these things have done a lot of really bad stuff. We need to get in there and, like, fix the problem. And then we get there, and it's not a problem, not really. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like you did all this work to get me all riled up and make me want to smite evil, and now there's no evil to smite.
Yeah, that feels vaguely like those ha ha got you, bet you didn't see that coming, and it's like not really fun because the thing you were building up to you thought was going to be fun, and then it was just kind of like a letdown.
This is supposed to be a horror campaign. It's not a horror campaign. I don't know why like it's marketed as a horror campaign. It is very much a comedy campaign.
I think most D&D games are comedy campaigns when they get in the hands of players, if I'm being honest.
Well, okay, so if I am being absolutely perfectly honest with you, I feel like Strahd was a really good horror campaign. I enjoyed Curse of Strahd a lot. It was really oppressive, and at points it was like almost unbearably oppressive, and that wasn't the best, but it definitely did a better job than Rime of the Frost Maiden is doing.
Oh, definitely. Like I loved. Curse of Strahd. However, I will admit Curse of Strahd absolutely turned into a horror game with my group because Eberron was fairly new when we ran it. And so we were all about the Eberron life. Like it was when the Wayfinder's Guide was new and I bought it and all that stuff. And so like I had a Warforged who was a Forge Domain cleric named Hubbard.
Oh,
And he all of his cleric abilities manifested as robot parts. So like he had thaumaturgy, and what that meant was he had like flashlights in his eyes, and he had like this speaker that would come out of his chest and blare his voice or blare sirens or things like that. And he had like his sacred flame was actually like this pinpointed laser.
no, that is really cool, and I really like the idea of that. But I think if I were gonna play a Warforged in Curse of Strahd, I would make like a Stitch Punk poppet, you know?
Ooh,
Yeah, with like pins
yeah.
and needles sticking out of it and everything. Like, I think that would be really cool. And like come up with some kind of backstory about having been like made by the hags or something like that. Like,
Oh, I'm getting like some Dolls of New Albion vibes going on
oh,
with
I
that.
didn't know you would like listen to Dolls of New Albion. I freaking love that shit,
That is
Steven.
that is my favorite opera ever.
Yes. Okay, so like okay, there's a third one that I haven't listened to yet, but like I regularly go back and listen to the Dolls of New Albion, and the New Albion Radio Hour in particular is like
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
um, okay, I'm gonna pun fully intended put a pin in that for like a later conversation because like how have we never talked about this before, but like we're supposed to be talking about the beach and now we're like talking about dolls.
You know what? I'm okay with it. Like the whole reason we did this podcast is because we vibe. Like when
Yes.
we were trying to figure out what to do for this, we were like, let's just talk. And then we were
Yeah.
talking about topics. And it was like, oh, beach episodes.
Well, that's where we started, and now we're talking about dolls.
You know what? That's what this podcast is now. We're in the first episode. It can be whatever we want it to be still. So, like, y'all just got to deal
Introduction.
with it. Yes, introduction. This is us.
Eventually, we will get to a point where we're slightly more organized. Maybe no promises.
That is a heavy no promises, people, just so you know. I feel like I need to lean into the mic and do some ASMR. I'm terrible.
Oh,
So
yeah.
beach episodes, sunglasses.
Right.
Okay, so I put out this beach themed like set of magic items for Nerdarchy
Ooh.
because
Ooh.
beach episodes are fun, right? And I was like really on that vibe for a minute, and that's been like my current obsession. And I was like, why are there no sunglasses yet? Because it could just simply negate the problems of sunlight sensitivity that creatures like kobolds or drow have to deal with.
Yes.
And especially, I don't know why you don't give sunlight sensitivity and better dark vision to like tritons, for example, because they're from under the sea. Like,
Huh.
this has
Yeah.
been in the back of my head ever since we started talking about mind flayers. But like, why has nobody done like a setting where the Underdark is actually under the sea? Because that would just work, in my opinion. Like, why does it have
It
to be underground? Like, I understand water breathing is an issue, but that's like not a hard thing to come by.
it's not a hard thing to fix, especially if like because the thing about the Underdark is you always have people getting dragged down there against their will and like made to fight in gladiatorial pits and stuff, and like there's no reason why something couldn't just like crawl out of the ocean and grab you and be like, okay, I'm gonna shove this thing in your throat and now you can breathe water, here we go.
Uh huh, right? Or like if a Kraken destroyed a pirate ship or even just a merchant ship, and now you are stranded in the middle of the ocean in this Underdark and you have to get back to land, but you're on the bottom of the sea, but you can breathe water or something like that, you know?
Yes.
So, along those lines, vampiric mermaids, why are those not a thing yet?
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Like, okay, I used to run Dragon Age, right? I
Right.
love the Dragon Age setting, and so I used to run the RPG. The RPG is a little bit clunky, but
Are
definitely
there
has potential to
mermaids
be
in the Dragon
finessed.
Age setting?
Huh?
Are there mermaids in the Dragon Age setting?
No, I made them
Okay.
up for my
Oh.
for my players because they wanted to go on a boat and they were in Antiva, and so I made up these fish creatures, right? And so they had a fish body down, and then up they had like a emaciated looking torso, but in the chest area, they had actual lungs so they could breathe water and air. And the lungs would inflate, and it looked in a silhouette like women's breasts. And
Right.
what it was is their
Oh,
silhouettes, they had these faces that were actually vaguely like the, not the Mind Flayer, the Demogorgon from Stranger
okay.
Things. So they were like flowers that opened up with these teeth. Also, kind of like how I have like the Crom Spawn and Quill and Sword. And
Okay.
they had shoulders with arms, but their hands were webbed and clawed. And so what they would do is they would open their faces up and they would unleash this soothing song sounding thing from these lungs that they would breathe with when they were above the water. And anyone who was attracted to the gender of that particular mer creature, siren, they would jump into the water. So if you're bisexual or pansexual or somewhere in that umbrella, you're kind of screwed. But
Right.
but also it makes an interesting opportunity for ace characters to show out a little bit.
I think I could make an argument for that not to affect the pansexual character because
Okay.
when you're pan, what you are attracted to is not what's in your pants. It is not the gender that you are attracted to. You've got criteria. It's just that that isn't part of it. So, like, you are attracted to people, just not on the grounds of what their gender is.
Okay, fair. Fair. I could see that. So it's vaguely is it similar to demi? I identify as demi romantic. So yeah.
Well, okay, I'm just talking about the way that I personally experience it, and I tend to like use the word bisexual and like use the colors of the bi flag as backgrounds for stuff because I mean, when I was in high school, pansexual wasn't a thing and nobody I know knows what that is. So, it's just easier conversationally, generally speaking. But like if I were gonna get real particular, I do identify as pan, but I'm also demisexual at best. Like I don't get attracted to people until I've known them for a while, and I'm like, I like personalities. Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
so
for me, I've always kind of seen bi as like I like genders like mine and also not like mine. And so that's the bi part of it. So it's not that you're only interested in two genders, but it's which is like something I think a lot of people get wrong. But like at least for my part and other bi people that I know of, it's I like mine and also unlike mine. So unlike
yeah,
mine could fall multiple places. And for me personally, it's like, okay, I tend to prefer like mine, but then I also open up to like non binary people and stuff like that. So it's
yes,
like I'm in that spectrum, but I'm also very demi. So, like, yeah. But
yeah, I vibe. I
I
do.
do think, though, that like having a creature like that that triggers people's sexual attraction in some capacity, maybe even in their brain to release those
Hmm.
chemicals, would make sense then to allow an ace character to kind of show out and be like, oh wait, I just don't care, you know,
Yeah.
or like, oh, okay, I'm not affected. I need to do a thing, you know.
Oh, that could also be a really interesting opportunity for an ace character that like isn't sex repulsed and like, just because there's like on the ace spectrum, there are people that like very much do like experience the libido kinds of things, just aren't interested in like coupling with people in that way, and
Mm-hmm.
even like
Yeah.
there's just like there's a whole spectrum of like how asexuality can present itself, and I think it would be really interesting to have like an ace character that's like somewhere else on that meter as well. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
oh, I might actually be in trouble here. Not as much in trouble as you are right now, but maybe a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not I'm distracted, but I'm not jumping off the boat.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that. For my game where I presented it and it was one supposed to be like a scary, weird but familiar danger and explain
Yes.
how mermaids could be truly monstrous or like dark spawny without like and still explain why they would look humanoid or why people would think they're half lady and half uh fish or
Fish.
whatever, you know. And it also allowed my players because it was pretty early on in the game because they got seafaring pretty quick. It allowed for them to kind of flesh out their characters a little bit because I'm fortunate my group is like not afraid to play to their weaknesses and just dive into danger if it makes sense for their character, you know.
Oh hell yeah, that's no, I really enjoy it when people are willing to do that, and that's like you sound like you've got a really good group to pull this kind of thing with, and most of most of my players that I have would absolutely jump on board with this sort of thing as a character thing, and I have a lot of groups that I can just trust to be like, okay, this is how this is working, this is what's going to happen. Like, you decide for yourself how much your character is affected, and then meanwhile you've got like some other groups that are just like power gaming and not thinking that hard about it, that you absolutely are going to have to make saving throws. Like, that's not
Yeah.
wrong, it's just a different play style.
Right. Well, and honestly, you could get to that point. Like, I feel like the power gamers probably aren't going to think about the sexual orientation aspect in the first place. So it's not necessarily the same sort of opportunity, and it does become more of a standard mind control encounter. Whereas
Yes.
for roleplay heavy groups who might have that ace character or whatever, this would be an opportunity for them to be able to shine and show off their character. So it still works as a fun encounter no matter where you fall on that spectrum of like needing to make saving throws because you're min maxing and only care about the combat, and really wanting to delve into your character and show, not tell, sort of thing.
Holy crap, Steven. Like talking about this has made me realize that that is what bothers me so much about mind control spells in games. Like, because I'm coming at this from the point of view of a heavy role player, and like what I think is going to happen, because I always know this character really stupid well, like I
Mm-hmm.
get like shoulder deep in like developing that sort of thing, and then the dice don't always agree with me, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
but this
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And like that's particularly with mind control sorts of things, like they're just like, because you always see like in cartoons and things where you've got a character that's like under mind control, and then like the person tries to get them to attack someone that they like care a lot about, and they're like, absolutely not, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's what helps them shake it off, sort of thing. Like, I actually really love that on TV. It's just really
Mm-hmm.
hard to emulate at a tabletop, because like there's the two different mindsets for like getting into it. And if you're playing this game, like you're gonna roll the dice and this is what happens because you rolled poorly, then yeah, it absolutely makes sense for mind control to work regardless. But like, I think I tend to prefer a little bit more autonomy than that. And like, I promise I'm not gonna cheat it,
Mm-hmm.
like I will be the first person to like lean all the way into a flaw that the DM has given me. I remember playing with Ted once and being given the bag of hoarding, and he's like, you just like put things in it, and then occasionally I would just like steal stuff and stick it in this bag of holding that he gave me. And that was my favorite cursed magic item I have ever gotten, that turned my character into a kleptomaniac. It was the funniest thing ever. I really enjoyed it a lot.
I kind of like that. That sounds very Ted too.
Yes.
Like that just sounds very, very Ted. There is a reason I dedicated that pun bard to him, because
Oh,
he's so good at mixing mechanics and role play together in such
yes.
a like cohesive way. Like it makes sense. A bag would want things to be put in it, so of course the curse would be that you have to put things in the bag, and like yeah, I like that. I dig
It
that.
hungers. Okay. No. Side story. When I was little, like from about 4 to probably 8, like I was ridiculously old to still be doing this when I finally stopped. The way that my mom taught me to throw things in the trash can when they were trash was that the trash can was hungry and I was feeding it, but
Mm-hmm.
it got all caught up in my little brain that the trash can was hungry, so I needed to find other things to feed it. And so I would like throw things in the trash can that weren't supposed to be in the trash can, like people's watches and textbooks.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so
Oh.
my mom would have to stop and look at me and ask, "Did you feed that to Trashy?" With like, and she'd have to say this with a straight face because I took it gospel serious.
See, I love that empathy about you though, because like you were just. It's like little Robin just wanted to feed the trash can.
I
Like they
did.
knew that it was hungry and they just needed to feed it. Like that's all. It's just feeding it. And like you can live without the textbook. The trash is going to starve if you it doesn't get the textbook.
That's where it started, but at a certain point, it just became me being a mischievous little bastard.
Also sounds like you.
Yeah.
Oh, oh my gosh, could you imagine
Mm.
the bag of hoarding but in the beach episode? Because people leave their stuff when they go swimming.
Oh no. Oh, okay. See, now that is an excellent plot hook for a DM to run with, because you could like have the beach episode and everything is going all fine for the first like 30 minutes, and then people start complaining that things are going missing, and of course the rogue gets blamed immediately.
Of course.
But then it turns out that it's like this beach combing person that's been like cursed with this cursed bag that just wants things, and like you like track this person down.
Or maybe it's eating them. It feeds. It hungers, just like Trashy.
Oh, that's so good. You have to be careful what kind of party you hand that to, though, because I know a lot of people that would just straight up like, because imagine it's a goblin doing this, right? Like they would just kill the goblin. This wouldn't like be a fun encounter where they're like talking this goblin down and trying to figure out how to get the bag from them. They just cut its head off.
So give it to something bigger like a furbolg.
That's fair. It would still have to be a lower level party.
Furbolg beach bum.
Oh, that's actually really cute to me. I kind of like that. Like, he surfs.
Did I ever tell you about my dwarf sorcerer that wore board shorts and was a beach bum?
No.
Okay, so I had this, we were playing this game, and it was just a fun game, and it was like Arcana Punk type setting, and we rolled for our stats. And the rule was that if you roll all ones, it's a 20. If you roll the max, it's a 20. And if you and you get one free 18. My stats were 6, 5, 3. Like I got all really low ones, and then I had to replace my one of my 3s with an 18. So that's how it all got started. Because I rolled, or no, it was a 4. It was a 4 that I rolled because I got 4, 4, and I had to drop one of my 4s because I didn't quite roll all ones, so I didn't get a free 20. So it was 3 1s and a 2. So it was like the worst.
Oh, no.
So but this dude, he talked like this, and he was a sorcerer who flunked out of mage school. And so he was like a noble for his background. So basically his parents paid for him to go to wizard school. He flunked out because he's not a wizard. He's a sorcerer. His intelligence was like a -3 or something ridiculous. And like nothing was any good. I think his highest stat outside of his free 18 was his 10 constitution. So like this dude was a dwarf who he just had board shorts that hung to his ankles, and he wore like this floral print shirt and was like going around being a beach bum. And then he met with the party and went with them on their little adventure, and he ended up getting an eldritch chicken as a pet because he stupidly went and made friends with it. I know it sounds even more crazy when I explain it like this.
Also very you, though. Like, if I were going to guess which one of my friends did something like that, you would definitely be the first on the list.
I take that as a compliment.
You should, because I would do it too.
But yeah, that was just, I don't know. That campaign was great. I had the worst stats out of everybody, and everybody loved my character the best. And that is the go-to story that I use whenever I try to advocate for rolling stats, and specifically if you have really bad stats with a character.
Oh yeah, like try it. Just try it. Like at least once, I urge you. Like give it a chance. Because it's really fun.
Mm-hmm, right. Right. Like some systems, like, Cypher is probably my favorite RPG, like ttrpg system. And it's very middling, though. It's very forgiving, and you can't really make a bad character with Cypher System. And it's very open, and it's very freeform, and I love all those things about it. But there's something about being able to roll a really bad character in D&D and then being forced to work with it.
Yeah. So I started playing back in 3.5. And one of my earlier characters, we rolled stats, and I got a really low constitution score. And I was playing a Scion, and so I somehow started play with 2 hit points. And I was playing with my brother, and he got mad at me for some reason and threw his canteen across the fire at me. And I don't remember who was DMing at the time, but we didn't really understand the rules as well as we probably should have. So he rolled a d4 for the canteen hitting me instead of just doing 1 damage and killed me at the campfire by throwing a canteen at me. Level
Oh,
1.
okay.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
It was really funny. We still laugh about it sometimes.
I mean, I feel like to a degree that stigma is kind of like not necessarily a stigma as much as it is like a legacy of the Nat
Yes.
One. Like my introduction, like right around the time I discovered Nerdarchy and discovered Fourth Edition and discovered D&D in general, I discovered this movie. Right, it was
Hmm.
called The Gamers: Darkness Rising, and that movie, it has some
Yes.
problematic elements. Don't get me wrong, but
Okay, like
also it
old
is
content.
right, right. Like for the time, it was not super problematic, and it was very like it was very telling and genuine and true to what the actual gaming culture was at the time.
Yes.
Like there's a scene where this girl walks into a game shop and all the guys are staring and like shocked, and it's like okay, but also I've actually had that happen to me with a friend
Yep.
who was a girl gamer,
Yep.
and we walked into a brand new game shop we'd ever been in, and we were just hanging out, and they were all ogling her the whole time and like staring and gawking and like asking if she was my girlfriend and all kinds of things, and it was like ridiculous.
Yeah, incredibly awkward. I can confirm that is absolutely a thing that happens. Like I present very feminine and like it's not really a thing that happens anymore, but it's definitely a thing that used to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in a comic book shop for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stop that story there. I don't think I need to go on.
I feel like people can use their imaginations, and specifically anyone who is in the know or anyone who presents or identifies femininely is probably going to know what sorts of stories to fill in there.
Like all I'm saying is the next person that walks up and unbidden starts trying to explain Batman to me is getting a bat wedgie.
I mean, that's fair. Like, oh my gosh. I think our gaming culture has come a long way. And, like, don't get me wrong. For me, gaming was definitely a safe space in a lot of ways. But I've also encountered those sorts of gaming groups that were more the stereotype.
Yeah.
And I totally get when people say that gaming hasn't always been a safe space for everybody, or when they say that they
Yes.
did not have a safe space gaming, and that like they think that it's not a thing, or they're skeptical because like not everybody had the fortune of having nerd friends who were base level intelligent is not the right word. It sounds very
Yeah.
mean, but it's
No,
probably the
but I know
best way I
what you
can put
mean.
it. Where it's
Like
like,
social awareness.
right, like understands that like we've been marginalized too, so why should we like ostracize these people when we've been ostracized? And that's kind of the point, you know.
Well, I was lucky enough that when I was in high school, I played with a group that was pretty much all girls most of the time. So we like would flip out players occasionally, but it was like the friends that I would hang out with in class and like at band camp and stuff. So like it was a really good time for me for the most part, like starting off. And then by the time I got to like the weirdos, I was like, huh, this is a you problem. And then I bought my stuff and left.
Yeah, see, for me, my introduction was maybe a little more the weirdos, but not in the good way. Like I definitely had, but it wasn't with D&D either. My first
Yeah.
experience was with this like weird indie homebrewed thing, and I had a group in a Christian college. So do the math and all that nonsense. We were the outcasts in the Christian college, but I was definitely like very visibly queer and didn't necessarily know it at the time, or didn't know the full extent of it and hadn't come out to them for sure at the time. And they were they were very much the like power gamers and the people that didn't like power gamers at the same time, and it was really frustrating. They had like a lot of weird rules, like you can't play a magic user unless you're an experienced character or a girlfriend of one of the people running the game, or
Oh
something
God.
like that. And they had like a bunch of like gatekeeping nonsense. And my first character was also very obviously queer. He was a master of disguise who was probably technically non-binary and also a martial artist. and would disguise himself using only makeup and would dress as women or men or whoever he needed to, and was also like the vaguely problematically Native American coded ethnicity for humans in that setting and whatnot, but was raised by the people that were more like steampunky. And it was
Yeah.
just like a very weird and specific character. And he was so feminine, and everybody hated him because he was feminine, and it was just like a weird experience. And then when I discovered D&D 4th edition, I ran it with my friends that I had at the time that were I'd known for longer and that were generally better people, and we had a great time even though we had to learn 4th edition, which was a monster in itself.
So, yeah, I tried to play D&D with this group at the college that I was going to, and I only played with them once. And you will understand why I only played with them once very quickly, because like I met these guys first and I was like, okay, you guys seem pretty cool. But then before I actually showed up, the DM was like, okay, I've like got a character for you already that's like been an NPC in this game for a little while. And then I was informed that this character was the quantum amount of women that had been rescued from a brothel several sessions back. And I was like, okay. But like at the time, I didn't realize that that was enough of a red flag that I should have just bailed. But I got to the
Mm-hmm.
table finally with my character sheet, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we haven't given you clothes this entire time, so your character is naked." And I'm like, "Somebody give me clothes." And then like I was handed a slutty adventurer's outfit, and at that point, I just noped out and never came back.
Yeah, that's dumb. That's skeevy. Like,
I don't think they were even trying to be skeevy. I think that they were just laughing really hard because they thought this was hilarious and didn't realize why that would be an issue for somebody else.
yeah, but that's also really insensitive then.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like this was absolutely not like people being like they weren't being cruel on purpose, but they weren't trying to not be, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've definitely thought that that one comic on Tumblr where the dude is complaining that he doesn't get to wear the female armor is hella hilarious. Um, and he's like, why does mine have to have legs? Can I just cut them off? You know, and that kind of stuff. Like, I think that's funny, but like at the same time, when you're playing at a table, and especially if like someone is the only person representing a certain group, you need to be careful about making that person, like forcing that person into playing a character that is supposed to be the tantamount of that entire group to the group, and then treating them badly. Like those are
Yeah,
all really bad things.
I don't know. They weren't really heavy RPers. They were very much like we're gonna roll dice and like the storyline is just gonna be a joke. But what we're actually here for is the numbers. So I would have ended up leaving anyway, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But like
That's fair.
numbers on a page, like that's an absolutely valid way to play. Like if that is your cup of tea, then by all means you go have fun. I just that's not fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm out.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that I don't have words because I have feelings because I've known people who are sorts of people I could see doing something like that, and I don't like gaming with them very well. So like the fact you had to deal with them and like actually see that side just makes me feel some type of way.
Now that's reasonable. Like I don't know. Because I can look back on it and laugh now because the whole thing it just seems like such a flanderized version of like what gamers are stereotyped to be like that I'm actually kind of embarrassed for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know. Can you be embarrassed for your entire gender because of a few that are real bad? Because I
Yes.
definitely feel that way. Feelings are valid,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
The beach.
the beach. Okay. So, segueing into that, some people like to have their characters be sexy or whatever else, and some
Yes.
groups are cool with that. And the beach episode
Absolutely.
is a great way to do that.
Yes.
Like, let the character wear whatever, I don't know, revealing beach clothing they want to wear. Like, it makes sense, probably in the world anyway. And like, I mean, I really kind of thought that um, that Oh, what is it? There was one show. I can't remember what it was. It did a beach episode, but it made fun of like the bathing suits and how like certain characters get like a whole swath of bathing suits and they're just going through wearing them all until they find the right one. And it was making fun of that fan servicey element.
Was it Oran High School Host Club?
I think it was, now that I think about it.
Because the twins' mother is a fashion designer and they like brought a whole bunch of swimsuits and were like, Haruhi,
Yep.
try these on until you find one that's good.
Yep, that
And
was
like,
it. That was it. That was it. That was the one because I remember it now.
oh my God, okay, like I'm gonna be honest with you, Haruhi was like an awakening experience for me.
Haruhi is one of the best representations of a non-binary character, in my opinion.
Yes. Yes. Like, and Haruhi's dad also, like, just real good vibes. I just like that
Mm-hmm.
entire anime is so good. I need to go back and watch it again. It's been a very long time.
Right? It's so good. Like there are some old animes. Like I've always said, anime is the sort of thing you have to wade through the crap to find the gems. But when you find those gems, they are like the prettiest, sparkliest gems.
Oh yes. Oh yes, very much. Yeah, the beach episode of Oran High School Host Club was like it was excellent because it had a lot of like really good character moments. Like the conflict in that episode actually ended up a bit more serious than the conflict in a lot of other episodes because it was like the boys that were there and like getting into the fight on the cliff above the water sort of thing and
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
but it was really good for like the characterization and stuff. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember it's been a really long time since I've watched it. I don't like remember it beat for beat, but I do remember them coming back with the crabs and Haruhi just like eating a ton of the crabs and like everybody being like, is she okay? And she's just like sitting over there like angrily ignoring everyone.
Mm-hmm. But kind of touching on what you were discussing with the swimsuits and stuff, like it's also a great way, like the beach episode is, to flesh out backstory. Like the twins
Yes.
having a fashion designer mother.
Yeah,
Like that is definitely something that we didn't know until we
it
knew it.
is.
And
It
it's really
is.
cool and it's like really interesting and it suddenly makes a lot of things make sense with those characters in relation to little elements of their dialogue, including their dubbing. And I
Huh.
really appreciated that. And like letting your characters reveal things about themselves from their beach episode. Like, I don't know if this would be considered vaguely problematic or not, but so maybe you can correct me or help me, and I'll try to tread lightly. But
Don't know if I'm the best person to be doing that, but I'm listening.
a beach episode could also be a good way to show not tell or otherwise have a character trust enough to reveal to their party that maybe they are trans or non-binary.
Oh, yes. Yes. I would absolutely freaking love that, actually. Um, that's really cool.
Because like that's an
Because
element that's an
it
element of
is.
something to consider if you are trans or non-binary, is you have to think about swimwear, and when you are wearing more revealing clothing that exposes your body, you're
Hmm.
going to have to decide, are you going to try to like make adjustments, not trying to be some type of way, but like, are you going to need to, are you going to stuff
Yeah.
your bikini, are you going to, pack a speedo, something like that,
Like,
are you
I
going to
have
bind.
been like doing a lot of research on like how people did chest binding like back in the day because you know it happened. This isn't like
Mm-hmm.
just a new thing that popped up out of nowhere, but they would use corsetry. I have found out was like how they used to do it in ye olden times, and like wearing that at the beach, like in your revealing swimwear, is going to be kind of difficult. But like
Mm-hmm.
actually, I've got a lot of mixed feelings about like binding in combat situations because you're not really supposed to like do the super athletic stuff while you're all like bound up like that. It's not good for your ribs.
Right. That's actually something I found out when I was researching my own novel that I wrote for the Misadventures, because I have a character named Cole. And she's not non binary, but she is a woman who tries to disguise herself as a man so she
Hmm.
can join the military, because in that society they've recently had laws in place that now refuse women to be part of the military.
Yeah.
And so rather than binding, how she compensates and tries to disguise herself is by layering men's clothing and dressing with like baggy pants to hide her hips, but then like bulky clothing and layers, but still sleeveless so you can see her arms so that she doesn't seem like she's doing that. And
Yeah.
then wears like a breastplate over it that is a man's breastplate. It doesn't fit super well because it's like it doesn't fit quite right in the front compared to like the stomach or things like that, but it's still safer and more effective isn't the right word, but it's the only word coming to mind, as opposed to binding, right?
Oh, I have to imagine that plate would be a really good way to do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't do it at the beach.
Right,
Because
exactly.
one thing, like armor isn't as heavy as people try to make it out to be. Like you can absolutely do things like roll in full plate and stuff, but also, um,
Swimming.
it's really hot. Like you're gonna be sweating real bad, and if you're at the beach and it's really sunny, you're not gonna be staying in that armor.
No, you're not, and you're not swimming in it either.
Oh no, no, no. You get penalties for that, I'm pretty sure.
Can you even do that in D&D? I feel like you just sink. That feels like something that like Bob World Builder or Shad or somebody from one of these D&D channels needs to do. Maybe XP to
It
level 3. That sounds like a him thing.
it
Just
would not
wild and crazy.
surprise me if Shad had a video about this already.
Yeah. It wouldn't. I haven't found it, but it wouldn't.
I haven't looked yet.
Yeah,
So
I haven't been watching his channel excessively lately because we disagree fundamentally on He-Man.
that's hysterical. No, there are a lot of things that we disagree fundamentally on, but I still really enjoy his
Right,
content
he's
if
a
I
really
watch
good
it
content creator,
anyway.
and he seems like a really genuinely nice guy. Like you can disagree
Yes.
with somebody and also enjoy their content.
Yes.
Like, and
Yes,
he's
yes.
definitely an example of that for me. Like he is really good. I want to pick up his book because I feel like his book is probably a book I would enjoy reading because it explores themes that most people don't explore, and I really want to see what he's got to say about this and how he presents it, like specifically redemption arcs. So
I don't think that there's really anybody on YouTube that I watch that I agree with 100% completely. But
mm-mm.
like that's important. You should be listening to people that you don't 100% agree with.
Right.
Like it is important to like get that context and at least have an idea of where they're coming from. That is how you become a well-rounded person.
Exactly. And also, like, if you think somebody genuinely is problematic, that's one thing I can get if you're triggered. But at the same time, like, if the person is covering something that doesn't, like, you watch them for content that has nothing to do with this thing you don't like about them, then, enjoy their content.
Yeah.
Like, people are complex. Deal with it, get over it, do something about it because I genuinely like I know that you get the older people. I hear a lot of older people in my life. I'll say it this way. I hear a lot of older people in my life complain about the younger generation being snowflakes, but then they're the same people in my very conservative area that can't stand when you challenge them or present them with certain facts that contradict what they believe. And then it kind of reveals something like whereas my friend group, my D&D group is super diverse, religiously, politically, ethnically, like it just is.
Yeah. Like I will have a conversation with anybody as long as they're not being a jackass.
Right, be
Like,
respectful, do what you
like
got to do.
even if it's like somebody that I stone ass agree with about everything, I'm not gonna want to talk to them if they're being a jackass. Like, that's where the line is.
Mm-hmm. I always say rule number 1, respect. Respect, respect, respect. That's all it is, mutual respect.
Like, you know what you did.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mutual respect. It goes a long way.
Just too old for this nonsense.
Yeah. Though?
Okay. Meanwhile, we're like the younger people in the social circles that we're hanging out with together online. And,
Right?
like, I feel like our friends are all laughing at us right now.
Probably. But then again, like, those people are not the people I'm talking about, you
No, not
know?
at all.
And I feel like it's also telling that, like, those people never need to feel to say, it's not me, because they
No,
know
because they
it's
know
not
that it's
them.
not them.
Right. It's like if you feel some type of way that you gotta say, well, not all people like this, maybe you need to check yourself just a minute.
Just take 5 minutes, think about stuff, go to the beach, touch sand.
Right. Beach episodes. Okay. Beach episodes.
Oh gosh.
I love this
This
already.
episode, Stephen and Robin can't stay on topic.
You know what? I love it. Hey, you know what? That's why we are the Nerds of a Feather. We have our your first name, my last name, their bird names. We are
Yes.
flitting about. We are definitely living up to our name. So
Oh,
I am
yes.
not even mad.
Did you know that some birds swarm?
I
I'm
did.
sorry. That was completely out of left field. It's just that I thought about it because you were talking about birds, and I think that it's really interesting. And, like, things that swarm really interest me. And I can sit here and talk to you about ants for about 4 hours and not get bored doing that. I'm not going to, but I could. So, like, that's why my brain did that, and I
You
apologize.
told me that, and I love it about you. Do not apologize. But also, like, I was definitely thinking that, like, if this ever became a thing, or like we got a community about us, we would call them like the flock of nerds. But now you're just saying swarm, and now all I can think is the swarm of nerds, the nerd
Oh my God, I
swarm.
love it. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So if you're out
Like,
there listening to this, you can be part of the swarm. We will
like
accept you. We will love you.
starlings.
Yes. Yes, we will accept you in the swarm.
The swarm.
The swarm.
I stole that from my friend Shay.
Oh, okay, okay, so get this. Talking about political differences, religious differences, whatever, right? All the things that are nasty bits we're not supposed to talk about.
Yes.
Beach episodes. At the end of the day, at a beach, what do you do? Stereotypically, what do you do? You build a fire and you make s'mores.
Yeah, I
And you
guess. That's like
sing
that's
songs and all that business. That is like the perfect place to explore those differences. That is the
okay.
perfect place to have a conversation about what's going on with the campaign outside of the beach episode. Checking in with people if you've maybe just
Uh,
gotten done with a heavy topic or something. Like the heartfelt moments like we do all the time in a lot of our Nerdarchy live games. Like I'm thinking specifically of those bastards where we had all the heartfelt moments everywhere. Like that to
oh
me
yeah.
just rings like we would have a heart moment right then, right there at the beach with like our characters talking about being siblings. Now they love each other and blah blah blah.
With the sun going down in the background. Like that's really good. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I
The
don't
beach
know.
is really conductive to that sort of thing. Like it's got the vibe, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I honestly have a hypothesis that that's why Steven Universe is largely set on the coast like it is. Because
Right?
like coastal sounds, it's very peaceful. It's like very conductive to like just unpacking everything and talking it out.
It is. It really is. And like the small coastal towns specifically where you get to like know everybody, like everybody knows your name and all that. Like that just that whole vibe, right? It's like vacation vibes all the time.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about like making sand castles.
Oh my gosh. So you could totally have some sort of magic item that lets you put a door or a flag or something in sand and it turns it into a domicile, like a habitable place, like
Ooh,
magnificent mansion. I could totally see that
that's
be a thing.
that is very cool. And meanwhile, my mind went in the exact opposite direction of like have the PCs make sand castles and describe them to you, and then shrink them and make them have to storm those castles.
That's great. You could have a haunted sandcastle. A
I think
sandcastle that
Pokemon
never
did that.
washes away. Huh?
I think Pokemon did that.
Did they?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't remember
yeah.
that.
Hold on, wait. It's one of the newer ones, so I don't actually remember.
Oh, I
I think
haven't
it's
seen any of those.
Sandygast. It is. It is Sandygast. Um, Oh no, it evolves into Palosand, which is the full sand castle. Sandygast looks like somebody just like took a bucket of sand, dumped it over, and then was like, "This is a castle now." But like Palosand looks like a proper sand castle, and it's haunted. It's ghost type. It's ghost ground type.
Oh,
It's
that's
very cool,
interesting. That's
and
interesting.
its shiny form is black, and I like it a lot. It's like pretty up there in terms of like newer Pokemon for me.
Wow, that's really cool. I need to keep more up with that. I'm sorry, I was a Digimon kid. Like, I like
Oh,
Pokemon too, don't get me wrong. I loved Pokemon. I still like Pokemon a lot. But Digimon was my, like, first love, as it were. And then Temtem is now my current obsession.
oh,
And I'm
Temtem is really
excited.
good. We need to play that together at some point. I keep forgetting to update it.
Yes, we definitely need to play that together at some point.
It's the last time I played it, it was like still just in development, and they were like, this is the playtest that everybody gets to play now, like just buy the game and you can have it already. And like it like
Hmm.
there was a lot of stuff that wasn't in the game yet, and now it's probably much better than it was when I was trying to play it
Oh,
back
it's
then.
worlds better. It's worlds better. You need to. We gotta play this now sometime.
Okay, we've got to play this at
Ooh,
some
maybe
point.
we should do it on Twitch or something.
Ooh, that
That
would
would
be
be
really
fun.
fun. Like just Tim live stream.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know. Okay,
Cool.
people listening to this, let us know if you want to see us do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
I'm in. That sounds like a lot of fun.
yeah. There's also this game called Kindred Hearts that's supposed to be coming out. Like, I'm into the monster taming genre. I love Monster Rancher, all that business. Like, there's one called Kindred Hearts that's not out yet, but like they have a demo arena sort of thing on Steam right now. And it's like for sale, but then you get the full game whenever it comes out. But it looks really interesting. It looks like a if Temtem is Pokemon, then this would be Digimon or maybe Monster Rancher is what it looks like to
Right?
me. But like in a good way. Like in a good way.
And Josh got like real obsessed with Slime Rancher for a little while there, which has nothing to do with like anything that you're talking about, but like it just reminded me of like sucking up slimes in the tube and like spitting them into the like boxes.
Slime Ranger is cute. My spouse was super into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like MJ really got into that and I was like, it's okay. It's fine. It was like Minecraft.
It's
It didn't really register for me.
oh my God, I love Minecraft. I'm gonna like fight myself, but like um no, I like Minecraft because I can just build whatever the hell I want in there, you know? Like, see, I get in Minecraft and then the very first thing that I do is try and like get horses so that I can like breed horses. And I like make
Hmm.
this redstone horse speedometer and like stack up blocks to see how high they can jump because then I know like how fast the fastest horse can go in terms of like how many gates once the redstone is triggered. So like that's how many gates there are. So I know when I have the fastest horse I can possibly have, and then I start breeding them for like jump height and stuff. And I can do this
Okay.
for hours. I can just sit there and like die in my chair trying to breed Minecraft horses, and I will like, I, I
That's
don't know.
really interesting. I've never heard anybody else ever tell me about breeding mechanics in Minecraft
Oh
ever.
yeah, like there's like I can find you videos. Like I did not make this horse speedometer up myself. I found it on like somebody else's YouTube channel and was like, I need this. Thank you. Um,
If you like horses, have you played Star Stable online?
well, I don't know. I'm not really like it's not horses specifically. Like it's just that the horses in Minecraft let you go faster, and I don't know. I don't know why. I just like that's the thing that interests me in that game.
Okay, I was just curious because my friend Amelia, who's a fellow author and stuff, she plays that a lot. And like I feel like you'd get along with her really well too.
Cool.
Like, yeah, you guys would vibe too. I am just 100% sure.
You know what? You've never been wrong about that, so I believe you.
I pride myself on that, even though.
As well you should. You are a very good judge of like who's gonna chill.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And like frankly speaking, I feel like you're kind of in the same boat. Like I feel like you are a lot the same way. You just don't necessarily always realize it. Like you seem especially insightful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know how true that is, but I appreciate the sentiment a lot.
Like I said, I think it's more than you realize. But anyway, beach episodes.
Beach episode.
We keep getting gushy now.
I know, but the beach is a good place to do that.
It is. It really is. It really is. Okay. So
just imagining, like, oh, go on.
Character pitch. Are you ready?
Yes.
A cleric. A life domain cleric who's a lifeguard.
I like that.
And instead of a mace, she hits people with the
like the
buoy
paddleboard.
The big like foam buoy thing they like.
Oh no!
Wrap around their waist and are like running with.
That's good. That's good. I enjoy that. All right. Counter character pitch. Fire genocide who like hangs out on the beach and uses the sand to blow glass things and then just like sort of sells it to people that are hanging out at the beach also.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. Counter character pitch. An earth genasi who all he wants to do is swim, but he does nothing but sink.
Oh, my heart. Now that is a sub-quest right there. That is like a little thing that you can throw at your characters, and I can guarantee you that if you like presented that to the group we play with Nerdarchy, they would immediately be like, well, we've got to figure out a way to help this guy swim. Like,
right.
Like we would be consumed for the whole session helping this guy swim.
It would probably be like Doug or Dave or somebody would have like a million mini games already ready and like 5 plot points, and we're like, we're gonna get him to swim. That's all we're gonna do.
Yes. Meanwhile, I would absolutely throw something like that at you guys and like just expect you to take the hook because I know you. I've met you.
Right. Right. Do you have a counter?
I was just thinking about that. Halfling dressed up as a crab. That's all I got.
Halfling druid that turns into a crab.
And like wears like the okay, so you know how people like have animal hoodies that they'll wear occasionally. I'm just imagining like when the halfling isn't a crab, like he's wearing a crab hoodie, you know? Like just and like it's got the extra arms and stuff that like move with the arm because it's like connected by the stitching and things, and when he's upset about things he just like crosses his arms and like they all cross because they're slightly enchanted.
Are we just like inventing a modern D&D setting at this point with like all the races and everything? But
I mean, yeah, you're right. Like a hoodie is not exactly a medieval thing, but like D20 modern halfling in a crab hoodie.
There you go. Oh, and of course, Tritons. Like, Tritons can be introduced at the beach. I love Tritons. I don't know why more people don't do Tritons. Like, I love Tritons. I love Namor from Marvel, and I always liked Aquaman. Don't at me. And, like, I just love the water-themed heroes and superheroes. Like, I've always kind of been about the water. I grew up on a lake. I love the water so much. I love swimming so much. I'm super comfortable in my body, super body positive. And I love all those different elements coming together with like aquatic races. I love the walrus people in WoW. We don't talk about Blizzard anymore because they're bad people who like they did bad things to
unfortunately they are in the doghouse right now.
Yes,
they're gonna have to work really hard to get out of the doghouse. But like, you know, that doesn't mean that we can't still love the world building and like the setting and stuff. They're just not getting any more money from me until they straighten up.
Right. Yeah. And it's like you can appreciate what the artists put their time and effort into, and all the people put their time and effort into, because just because a stupid corporation wants to be stupid doesn't mean that like you can't appreciate the art surrounding a thing. And like World of Warcraft is so beautifully executed in so many aspects. And I loved the Tuskar. I think that's what they're called, right? Tuskar?
They are.
I wanted them to be playable for so long, and I wanted them to just have a swimming speed like the aquatic druid, and like, just be able to do that.
They're not going to give that to you for the same reason that they're not going to give you playable Naga. Like, you can't put pants on that.
But you could. It's just a wrap instead of pants. Like, you already have to model it all. You already have to model it.
That is very fair. Like, you could totally just make it like, what why won't they give us Naga? And like it doesn't matter right now. I'm not playing anyway, but like I don't think there's a playable Naga in D&D either.
Honestly, I kind of play my UNT like that, and I just replace some of their more OP traits with aquatic adaptations.
That makes sense. Like I can absolutely see like adapting a UNT or like just flavoring a Triton so it has a tail maybe like
Mm-hmm. Although I usually like to flavor my tritons as like whales or otters or walruses or like the because they already have hair and stuff, right? So just like making them
yeah, sea
mammalian.
mammals.
Yeah.
Dolphin, Triton.
Um Dolphin Triton would be really cool, I think.
I like dolphins.
Also shark Triton because then you could totally have one that lives in the sewers and is a street shark. Yes, I'm a
Oh, that's
90s
really
kid, don't
cool.
judge me.
No, I like that a lot. That is a very good idea. I will, however, request that, like, if we're talking about sharks, we keep it like surface level because I have a friend that will probably listen to this later that's really into D&D and is phobic of sharks, and I would like for him to be able to listen to our content.
Okay, then we will not discuss that aspect with the teethy fishy bits.
Cool.
But okay, so speaking of that, lizard folk. Now, okay, this is gonna sound really weird, but hear me out, okay?
Right?
So, like, lizard folk already are aquatic, so you could go the Loch Ness monster route with them.
Yeah.
But I like to do lizard folk as dinosaur people
Ah,
and like fossils on the
it's
beach.
it's a Leopleurodon, Charlie.
Right, or something like that. Oh my gosh, that meme, that's crazy.
This is old. I'm like
We are
dating
old.
myself here.
We are old. We are millennials. Millennial now means old. Did you know that?
I mean, like they can go ahead and think that if they want to.
I think that we've been labeled the generation that'll never grow up, so the more we buck against that, the more we're just feeding the stereotypes. I'm old and boring. I have a grill at my house. It's inexpensive and runs on propane, but I have a grill at my house. I'm
Age
boring.
is imaginary. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm just doing what I'm doing. Like, yeah, I have two settings, and that's F you too old man, I'll step on your lawn if I want, and do not cite the old magic to me, which I was there when it was written.
Right? Oh, Narnia is great. I loved Narnia. I wish they hadn't botched the other movies.
I
Although,
only really watched the one.
hot take: The Voyage of the Dawn Treader was better than Prince Caspian, and Prince
I
Caspian ruined it for people.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch them both because I haven't seen either of them. And you would think that I would have because it's like fantasy kind of high budget movie. It's right up my alley. It's just that I was doing something else at the time when it came out and I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember what it was. That might have been one of my like deep dives into Star Trek, and I can't be into space and swords at the same time apparently. It's like one or the other.
No,
Super
I vibe
recently.
that. I vibe that. I'm the same way. I can't do sci-fi and fantasy unless they're melded together with like She-Ra or
Yes.
Masters of the Universe or something like
Yes.
that. But
Yes.
like that's part of the reason I love Dave's setting so much for Moonrises. And I
Oh,
have an
it's so
aquatic
good.
character in that one. A beach character. So hey, tied it back in. I'm not off topic. But no, you know what we need? Speaking of movie adaptations that are good, we need a
Mhm.
proper Earthsea adaptation. One that's like true to the
Oh,
people of color and true to like the way the magic system works and true to the way the characters actually speak and are represented and not like don't get me wrong, I love the Ghibli film for what it is, but it is not actually Earthsea. It's not
I
true Earthsea. It was just
haven't seen
inspired by
that
it.
either. I have read the book because it's like 70 pages long and it took me about 5 minutes, and I have a quota on Goodreads. Um, but like, I haven't actually seen any of the film adaptations of it. It just hasn't really been a thing that I've like gone and done.
Don't watch the live action, it will disappoint you heavily.
Okay.
Um, the Studio Ghibli one is a piece of art that is a masterclass in show don't tell. Yet, I will say that it is not Earthsea. it does not resemble Earthsea. It is
Hmm.
a lot of elements of Earthsea with a lot of the same names, but jumbled together in a totally different way and really isn't Earthsea at all and doesn't even necessarily capture the spirit of it. But that's not to say it's bad and doesn't capture a spirit that's enjoyable.
Well, it was kind of like that Howl's Moving Castle, right? So I have read
Mm-hmm.
the book and I have watched the Studio Ghibli version as well. And I greatly enjoy both, but for entirely different reasons because they're not the same story at all. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, like they are very different tales, and like they've got a couple of characters that cross over, but like it's like you come away with a completely different vibe depending on which one you've just consumed. So, like, is it
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that?
Yeah, very much so. I will say, you're gonna hate me when I tell you this. I DNF'd Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, like the book?
Yes.
No, I can get why you would have.
I don't like the story because the writing style to me was something that didn't vibe with me at all. It feels like you're reading about a story instead of actually experiencing the story, which was
Yeah, that
something
kind
I
of makes
didn't like
sense.
much. It was just very distant in an
No, that's
unpleasant way
valid.
to me. But
That
I love Howl's Moving Castle, the Ghibli movie. In fact, my spouse and I, MJ and I, that is our movie. Like, we will sit down together and watch the shit out of that. I guess we're cursing
it's
now also because we're just going to be genuine.
I don't think I would have been able to stop myself from swearing anyway, if I'm being honest. But no, I really liked the book because I like things that feel like fairy tales, and it very much felt like a fairy tale to me. And that's actually kind of the same vibe that I got with like The Last Unicorn, the novel, versus The Last Unicorn, the movie. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like same thing. They are different stories. They like give off very different energy depending on which one you're going for at the moment. And it would not surprise me at all if you like were not into the novel. Um, but I really liked it. It was definitely like my entire alley.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I dig. Okay, okay. So, first off, I gotta say, Angela Lansbury is a treasure in everything, as I'm sure you get because of The Last Unicorn.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I have like a couple huge blind spots, and one of them is like the names of actors.
Oh, okay. So, Angela Lansbury voiced, voiced the unicorn.
Okay,
She
yes, I know
also
who you're talking
voiced
about now.
Mrs. Potts. She also
Yes,
is the lady from Murder, She Wrote.
I did not know that.
Are you familiar with the movie The Court Jester?
No, but that sounds like something I need to know about yesterday.
It absolutely is. You need to know about it yesterday. Um, absolutely. We'll talk later about getting you
Okay,
hooked up with that because that's a yesterday
good,
sort of thing. But she is a treasure in all of the things I've ever seen her in ever.
cool.
Like,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah, I'm down. Like, let's do this. Color me intrigued.
Yes, there's a reason that I modeled Bethany's voice in Just Quest. Bethany, for those of you who don't know, is the eldritch kraken who lives in Christopher's magic house basement. Christopher being my necromancer character, who is like a '50s housewife, and Jonathan Van Ness and a bunch of other things mashed together. That was just a lot of words with a lot of information. But he has a kraken in his basement who talks psychically in your head, and her voice sounds like Angela Lansbury. So now you know she sounds like the unicorn from The Last Unicorn.
Okay. Yes. All right. Like that had just been going over my head. Like I hadn't made the connection because, like I said, like one of my huge blind spots is just actors.
Fair.
I don't remember who it was that came up the other day, but like Josh mentioned a name and I was like, who's that? And he just gave me this look. Like just the most disappointed look, like I had just broken reality not knowing who this person was.
That's funny.
Um Uncomfortably common occurrence, but yeah. Uh yes, I can see it now. I can hear it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Angela Lansbury. I'm not gonna lie.
In my
There is a
defense, I always recognize Meryl Streep.
fair, fair. There's a YouTuber I follow. She goes by Pushing Up Roses online, and she does like Murder She Wrote synopses and Golden Girls synopses and all sorts of interesting things.
Oh, that's cool.
And she also does like retro video games like King's Quest and stuff, though she hasn't done many of those recently, but I really like her content a lot. And she seems to like, I vibe with her tastes a lot of times. So like, I just enjoy watching her. And she talks about Angela Lansbury a lot on Murder She Wrote. I'll have to introduce you to that YouTube channel too.
Okay. Yeah, like I feel like after we get done recording this, there's just gonna be like a whole bunch of links in my
Oh,
DMs.
definitely. Definitely. Like,
Oh,
that's just
that's
how I
good.
think all these are going to go is like, we're going to share things with each other and then just DM each other stuff about like, you
Oh,
need
for
this and you
sure.
need this and you
Yes.
need this.
Yes, this is a thing that you require in your life.
Yep. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We are just like doing this. We're going to be ourselves and y'all just along for the ride, if I'm being honest. But
Honesty is the best policy.
yes, exactly. Be authentic to yourself. If you can't be authentic to yourself, you can't be authentic. Period. Point blank. Another hot take.
Yes. Oh, that was the hot take. I thought like you were preparing for it. Okay, I
No, that
understand
was
what's
just the
happening
hot
now.
take.
Okay.
I mean, we live in an internet society where people curate everything. You don't think that that's true?
No, that absolutely is true, and I feel like if you don't, somebody's gonna get upset, but somebody's gonna get upset anyway, so like, why not just go for it? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's wrong to curate what you want people to see or like present
no,
a
that's
life you
fair.
wish you had, but like definitely I think that if you lose who you are in the mix of that, like if I present as having this life that I wish I had and I don't have, at least that's authentic to myself because I really want that. You
Hmm.
know, but if you ever lose
Yeah.
sight of who you are in the course of that presentation, then it's like what's the point in my opinion?
I'm just kind of at this point in my life where I'm too old to like be upset about other people not liking me. Like
Right?
that's not gonna bother me anymore. That's totally okay. And like I don't feel like people should have to feel bad for not liking me either. Like it's fine. I'm not everybody's cup of tea and I know that. I'm like my personality is not for everyone.
Fair. I mean, I kind of am at the same place, but at the same time, I think that generally speaking, those of us in the queer plus community, by the way, I use the term queer plus because I like it better than the alphabet soup that's ever growing and
Okay.
can date your stuff. And I think that it includes everything and everyone really
Oh yeah,
nicely.
and it's also like two syllables as opposed to what, five?
Exactly. So, like, I feel like when you are in the queer plus community and when you kind of live and occupy that space and you have for most of your life, you tend to arrive at that point a lot quicker because if you don't, you end up dead. And that's not to sound dark or
That's
anything, but
no,
it's
that's
just
fair.
genuine. Like, because the nature of the struggle, like, there's a reason why, and maybe it's just because I did my LGBTQ training at work the other day, but there's a reason why there are significantly higher rates of all sorts of nasty bits that we're not going to get into for triggering reasons
Oh
for
yeah.
people in the queer plus community as opposed to other spaces.
No,
And
I've like always been very privileged in that I am like straight and cis passing. Like nobody would think if I didn't tell them. So,
yeah, I have such mixed feelings on that because on the one hand, I feel like you could consider it a degree of privilege, but at the same time, like when you are straight and cis passing, there's also like that's kind of not a privilege because you're just still hiding. You know what I
well,
mean?
okay, like the thing is though, like it's more like I can pass for straight and cis and like it's not if I'm going to the doctor's office and it doesn't come up, then it just doesn't come up, right?
Right, right.
Like
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
like I'm out everywhere. I'm out on the freaking internet. Like um so like I would not consider myself to be hiding in any way, but like also if it's strangers that don't know me at all, like it doesn't become an issue because it just doesn't come up. It's like quick interaction and then I'm leaving and I never have to think about you again.
Right.
Whereas like they just don't have the opportunity to get nasty about it because it doesn't come up.
Yeah, that's fair. That's valid. I see what you're saying.
Like, and that is definitely privilege.
Yeah. Yeah. I get where you're coming from now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, for me, it's maybe, I don't know how to say it. It's a little bit harder because a lot of people clock me. Like, a lot of people clock me. They usually clock me as gay, but it's not far off. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
a hop,
I
skip, and a
do.
jump away. And so for me, like, and a lot of it is because my mannerisms, I sound like I haven't hit puberty yet. Things like that.
I don't think that's necessarily true, but that was a funny comment and I laughed.
Yeah, well, I say it all the time because it's like I have a higher pitched voice. I talk with my hands. I am masculine presenting, but at the same time, if you see me and my spouse out, my spouse is masculine presenting too. So
Hmm.
then it just turns like it's a little bit less easy to hide, I guess, at times.
Yeah.
And then when you compound that with the fact that a lot of times my housemate and I go out and he's just very straight masculine, and half the time people assume that we're a couple, even though I'll correct
Oh,
them if they say that. It's like, you know,
I do. I get you.
but yeah, it's
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just an interesting space in the world we live in with like the privilege or lack of privilege with being able to be clocked or not clocked. And it's just such a weird nebulous thing, I think, at times. And I think that sometimes I think it's used by people in the queer community unknowingly so, and much to the mirth of those who would see the queer plus community be dissolved, that oftentimes it's other queer plus people that are gatekeeping you.
I'm not gonna pretend like that hasn't happened ever, but it doesn't happen with the people that I hang out with regularly, so that's like, it doesn't really
Right.
bother me a whole lot that it's a thing that happens because I don't really have to interface with it too much. Like,
Yeah. Man, how do we get off on this topic?
I don't know. We just we were
We
talking about
ramble.
the beach and like there was a mention of Meryl Streep and now we're here.
I mean, there are so many jokes that come to my mind. I'm not going to
I
say any of them because I don't know which one's best. So we're just going to avoid all of them and go back to the topic so we can be on topic. I don't know, beach episodes. So, um, we've been talking for almost 2 hours. Man, this is a good sized podcast. We're doing pretty
It
good
is.
talking about
It
beach
is. We're doing.
episodes.
Oh, I had assumed we were shooting for 2 hours because that's like most of the time when we're streaming we shoot for 2 hours, and that's just like
That's
that is
fair.
about the amount of time that I have energy to like be on camera and like talking into the mic, and then after that point I'm just like then
Fair.
I need to go to the beach.
Fair. Fair. Although we're not doing video with this, which is super nice. I mean, we're video
It
calling right
is.
now, but we're just like doing our voices.
I
Everybody gets to
know.
hear our silky smooth voices.
Yeah, like
Oh.
I don't care if you see me sitting here with my eyes watering like crazy and my hair looking like an actual bird's nest, but like I don't want the whole internet seeing that.
Oh, I thought it was part of the theme. That's why I've got my floral print shirt on
Oh,
because you can
that's
take it
funny.
and make a little nest out of it.
It is a very excellent floral print shirt. I know like you folks at home can't see it, but it is very nice. It's
Thank you.
like it looks dark blue and orange to me, but I don't know if I'm seeing the colors right or
It's like
not.
dark blue and neon salmon. It's a really weird shade.
Neon salmon.
Yes, it's pink orange, but it's like really bright pink orange and navy blue. It's darker than it's appearing on the camera. Everything's kind of washed out.
It's orange.
Ooh.
No, I'm just teasing you. Like, I
No, no,
actually do
no.
appreciate the differences in the colors. Josh and I have an ongoing argument about whether pink and light red are the same color or not. And they're not. They're not the same color. Pink has a little bit more blue in it. Like,
Pink is absolutely not the same color as light
no,
red.
no,
Absolutely not. No.
no, it's
No.
not. It's like just off of being a purple. I don't.
Right? Right? But
I will die on this hill.
Oh, this is the hill. Okay, good to know. I'll let your enemies know tomorrow.
No, my enemies already know. Okay, there are a lot of hills that I'm willing to die on, and I don't know why no one's taken me up on it yet.
It's because you're the king of too many hills.
Just keep knocking them off.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
So what else do we have to say about beach episodes? We've been freeforming it this whole time.
yeah, we have been. Um, well, no, I blew everything that I had prepared to say like fairly early on, but I feel like this was a good experience in like talking about something and like what we would need to do to structure things going forward so that we don't end up like on a like long Meryl Streep tangent.
I mean,
Beaches.
are long Meryl Streep tangents really necessarily terrible?
No, no, not at all, but we should probably limit it to like one or two.
That's fair. I think we've had like 8 this time so far, but we'll see.
But like also I'm keeping Meryl Streep tangents. That's what we're calling them now.
That's
Um
great.
But I kind of like the idea of having like seashell magic items. Like if there's something magic in the water, then the stuff that washes up could be like innately enchanted. And like imagine like the further out into the ocean you go, the more likely you are to end up on another plane of existence. Like the elemental plane of water is connected to this ocean or something, and then the shells that wash up could like have like little powers that you could like use. You can pick up the shell and like use it for something, and then it's a normal shell after that, but it's like got magic when you pick it up, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
hunting shells actually matters. And the good thing about consumables is that they can be as wacky as you want them to be because they're one use and then it's over. So if you give your players something really OP, you only have to deal with it once.
Right, right, right. So my brain went in a totally different direction because we were already on the Pokemon vibe
Huh?
tangent thing. So you know Corsola, right? The
Yeah.
coral Pokemon. Its new
Yes.
form is a ghost type because it's dead coral and it's like related to something going on in the UK. But my thought was a
Yes.
necromancer that raises coral zombies. Mechanically, they're skeletons, but they're coral zombies that are
More
raised by this marine
necrobotany.
necromancer.
All right, so that is not its evolved form. That is just Galarian Corsola.
Right.
I'm only saying that because somebody in the comments is gonna say it. Uh, like I sense this coming, and I'm like just covering the ass. But yeah, no, I totally get it. I really love the concept of necrobotany. Like you brought it up last time we played Quill and Sword, and that's absolutely fascinating to me. And I love the idea of just like coral necromancy. Coral is a really interesting material, and I
Mm-hmm.
always really love the idea of like mermaids or something like growing their homes out of coral, because it's like it's
Uh-huh.
really durable. Like it is a really durable plant system thing. Like coral it sits in an interesting place, like just in terms of like being kind of like as an organism is the term I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I could totally see there being a spell that's specifically for underwater, or maybe even not for specifically underwater, that's basically an anemone. And it works sort of like Magic Hut, but maybe it's not completely immune. But then if a creature comes into it and it's not allowed, then it takes damage. You know what I mean?
Yes, I think so.
Like to me, that just seems like an interesting idea. Or maybe like this
It does.
symbiosis of like a warlock patron or something that shelters you, but
Oh,
with
that's really cool. Like
tentacles.
a clownfish living in an anemone.
Exactly.
Okay, yes, I do understand.
Yeah, or something like that. I don't know. I just think that could be a really interesting premise for like if you ever had like a warlock of the fathomless or something where they like flavored it as their tentacle is an anemone thing.
No, that is really cool. I actually really like the idea of having like a warlock patron that is literally just like um what is that character in comic books that looks like Spider-Man and isn't?
Venom?
That one. Yeah. Like isn't the suit kind of sapient? Like
Yeah.
okay, like, I haven't read those, so I don't actually know for sure. I'm like just going off of what I've heard other people talking about, but I like really like the idea that like of that as a warlock patron.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. Like I totally feel that. Like or so for the longest time watching She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, I was
Yes.
convinced She-Ra was a warlock because she has a magic sword. She'd be a hexblade, right? She has a magic
Right?
sword. When she
Yeah.
takes her new form, she's casting mage armor, which is armor of shadows,
Okay.
and she grows a little bit, and she gets these healing properties. And I was like, oh, maybe that means she's actually a celestial warlock with a blade pact, and then that would make her like be able to heal still like she can do, but then also has the blade, and then she can still do armor of shadows, that sort of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that. I dig it. I can absolutely see that too. Like, from what little I have seen of She-Ra, like I keep meaning to go back and watch the rest of it, but like I've got so many other things, and I finally got my spouse to agree to watch Star Trek with me. Did not like the original series. Is apparently really into TNG for some reason. So like that's where we started, and like there's a lot of it. So like, and then we got sidetracked by Taskmaster, but eventually we are gonna get back to She-Ra, and if I watch ahead, he's gonna be upset. So.
Fair, fair. I won't spoil the class stuff then outside of what I've already done. So we're just going to leave it there. And when you've watched it, we can maybe come back to it at a
Okay.
later
Now,
time.
when I have watched it, we will do an entire podcast episode just talking about She-Ra. I guarantee it because I
That is
love it a
fair.
lot. I just can't like continue watching it until I like have my spouse because it's like actually a betrayal to continue forward on Netflix with something you're watching with someone else. And I feel like
I
that's something
agree.
that like all of the millennials in the audience will understand.
I totally agree with you on that. So, speaking of the next generation, right?
Yeah.
Star Trek. So, I found this person on Etsy. She calls herself Go Go Amy. It's all one word.
Hmm.
And she makes the silver Speedo, the one that Picard wears on his vacation. I
Oh,
own one. I
that's
bought
oh,
it.
I bet you do. That's like the most you thing I've heard in a really long time.
I own that. I have one from her that looks like the Submariner, aka Namor from Marvel's outfit. Like, she makes some really good stuff. It is high quality. I would endorse that. She's really cool. If y'all like Speedos, go check her out. But no,
Yes.
I love the quality of her work. And when I got it, I was just squeeing so much. I showed my spouse. My spouse even got it immediately because my spouse is a real big Trekkie. Like MJ is all about this Star Trek life. Whereas
Star Trek is
me,
so good.
it wasn't until after we were already together that I stopped confusing Star Wars and Star Trek because I am that abomination. I lost my nerd card for a while because of that.
Steven.
I lost my nerd card. I know I did. It was
And you were
hard.
sitting here admitting this on the internet.
I
Like,
am. I am. You got to understand. There's no excuse.
no, I kind of get it, but I stopped mixing the two up when I was like 10. Um but I liked them both as a kid. Like, seriously, uh, very young Robin had a huge crush on Han Solo, and slightly older Robin wanted to be Han Solo. And I'm still kind of in this weird nebulous area where I'm not actually sure which it is, right? Um,
Uh huh. I feel like so okay, you may think this is just me saying it because you're saying it, but I'm telling you, I really thought when you were talking to me about your character for Moonrises, right?
from
The
what?
Red Riding Hood in a gas mask.
Yes.
Um calls herself Red. She is I don't remember what ethnicity. She was a person of color. I don't remember what ethnicity you kind of based her
Like,
off of.
I was picturing her being kind of Hindi.
Yeah,
Like,
but here's the thing, in spite of all those like external things that you would think didn't make it make sense, every time you played her and every time that you described her, the first thing in my head was Han Solo.
I appreciate that a lot. Like, I can definitely see that as a personality type. Because it's like that whole trope of, like, being the character that, like, wants to be self-serving, but then their friends are in trouble and it's like, crap. And then they go back and help anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how dare you curse me with morality?
Oh, I love that trope too. The like neutral character forced to be good because they're in a good party.
Yes.
I also think it'd be interesting to explore the trope of a neutral character in Evil Party being forced to be evil.
Oh yeah, no, that would I've never actually seen that done at a D&D table, but I did end up in that situation once, like RPing on World of Warcraft.
That's really cool. Yeah, I like weird tropes like that, I guess.
Yes. Yes, I would love to see that too. That would be really interesting. Um,
And you know, the best way to introduce such a character at the beach would be already surfing and owning it.
okay, absolutely fair, and a really good way to tie this back into talking about the beach for the last couple of minutes. Like, I didn't see that one coming. I was sitting here grasping at threads, like, oh yeah, we had a topic, and then like you just effortlessly, like, bam, back on topic.
I am very good at being a one-track mind when I want to be.
No kidding. Oh, that was good. I really enjoyed that a lot. But like we're definitely gonna have to add alignment to the list of things to talk about eventually.
Oh yes, for sure, for sure. Like we have so many topics we can talk about. Like, and
Yes.
we're only doing these once a month. By the way,
Right.
everybody, if you're tuning in, these are once a month. But we're also gonna do like blogs that are like
Yes.
letters to each other, just showing snippets of our life. Don't judge us. We're just gonna be ourselves. I'm saying that because my first blog is literally going to the grocery store.
I'm
But
probably gonna take my camera over to the cemetery. I haven't actually started filming it yet, and I have no idea how to edit like videos, so this is going to be a learning experience.
hey, but yeah. So anyway, last couple minutes, let's talk about current obsessions.
Okay.
I feel like that's a good way to end every blog or every podcast, right?
Oh yeah, no,
Talking
that
about
sounds
current
great. Like,
obsession. What do you like? What are you into at the
what
moment?
am I into right now? I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14 because, Blizzard did the bad thing, and actually it's really good. I'm really enjoying this game a lot. I love the crafting system. It feels like I am actually making things. It's more involved than just hit button make thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can like just use better materials to get a better quality item, and it's like a whole mini game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it has player housing. And right now, I am about halfway to being able to afford a small house for my free company that consists of people that I already knew from the internet that were like, hey, we play this game. I see you're playing this game now. Do we want to, like, get together and make a guild? And I'm like, yes. So like that worked out really nicely, and they're really lovely people, and that is what I've been doing when I have had time to do it. What are you obsessed with right now, Steven?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Even though I already wrote an article on it on Nerdarchy, I might link it in the description. We'll see. Um, I'm really into Animon Story. Like this TTRPG, this little indie thing. You can't even buy a physical copy. You have to go on itch.io and purchase it from the creator, or you can go on the website. I believe it's animonstory.com. Like I said, if there's a description on this site, I'll link it in there or whatever. But it is a TTRPG where it uses a pool of D6s, so it's not a D20 system. And you make a kid character, as they call it, though your character doesn't have to be a kid, I guess. It's like a
Hmm.
Digidestin sort of character. And then you
Yeah.
also make their Animon partner. And you make its different forms, and you can assign the kid character different ability scores, but these ability scores are more focused on like who they are as a person, whereas the Animon characters ability scores are more focused on like what they are and what they can do and like their physical attributes. And so I just really dig that. I like how it kind of naturally embraces that correlation that happens in monster taming games and monster taming spaces, where like you have the correlation between the growth of the human partner in mentally, spiritually, whatever, and the growth physically of their monster companion. You know,
Yeah.
it's very coming of age. It's very wholesome, and it feels exactly like the type of game I want to run with my godson at some point.
Aw.
Just
Aw.
because he would love
I bet
that.
he like that. That sounds really good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my current obsession. So
All right. I think you linked this to me at one point, didn't you?
yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I still have this on my hard drive. Like, that's awesome.
So, yeah. But anyway, so for all of you listening at home, this is the end of the podcast, I guess. We don't know how we're going to end these. How are we going to end these, Robin? You do it. You tell me.
By promising that we'll figure out something for next month.
Oh, yes. We'll figure out something for next month to talk about. Like I said, if there's links in the thing, we'll put appropriate links places.
Yes.
We'll probably put this on YouTube as well, just like the voice part and maybe pictures or something. I don't know what we're doing yet. This is brand new to us. Neither of us has been in a podcast before. This is uncharted territory.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yes, Star Trek: The Next Generation, going boldly where nobody. I don't know how to say
At
it.
least nobody in this room has gone before.
I just forgot. Look, I just got over not calling it Star Wars, so don't at me.
Continuing mission to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
That one, yes. So, anyway, we're gonna do that. But until next time, everybody, we'll see you around. Bye.
Later. You know, because, like, you die horribly for about maybe a minute at most, and then it's over. And you still got to spend most of the movie having a good time.